Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Smurf stream. This is our second stream. The first was our launch stream, and we tried to get this that way, yeah. This wonderful gentleman on with us, and we had some technical issues last time. So thankfully now you have someone much more talented and good-looking and Smurftastic.
I was going to say Smurfy at least, right?
At least Smurfier, absolutely. With us, this is of course Kevin Borup, our game designer on the Smurfs RPG. We have lots to talk about and lots to discuss over the next half hour with Kevin. But first, as most of you know from watching the updates on the Kickstarter and so on, that we have gone ahead and launched Gargamel's Mystery Set. So you can see there's lots of Smurfy goodness in this box. I know there have been some comments already about how much the price tag is, but let me tell you, you not only get Smurf Willow's collector set in it, so that's all the wonderful stuff that you get, as well as all the all-ins that are unlocked during stretch goals, but you also get a mystery box full of items that Gargamel himself has chosen to include. I will say that the tier includes a number of items that are not even available in retail. And so these are items that have never been sold in stores. They're either internal team items and so on and so forth from the Smurfs. So you will get your hands on some things that are unique for the campaign and for the box, which is fantastic. And you also get the opportunity to get stuff from other partners who have created awesome Smurf stuff as well. That includes Plastoy. That includes... let me bring up that list real quick so that I can make sure that I don't forget anyone.
You're making it sound really good, though.
Right? We've already sold 2. And so it is limited to 10. They are going fairly quickly. We've already sold 20% of the available boxes that exist. Definitely don't want to miss out. Okay, so yeah, the Gargamel tier, it includes products from the Smurfs proper, a bunch of awesome stuff. Microids, Plastoy.
That sounds great.
Paper cuts, and Realmsmith ourselves. Here at Realmsmith, we'll also be doing some fun stuff, which maybe you might not expect, but will be an amazing mystery surprise, as well as some other things. And so, again, if you're interested at this level, it is only, as I said there in the reward tier description, it is only for the purest of Smurf addicts, not addicts, although maybe, but anyways. We put Smurf in front of a lot of things. Sometimes you get Smurfed out when it comes to words, but that's how we keep it fun, Kevin, and that's how we keep it real. Anyway, so this tier is awesome. Again, as I said, it's limited. Make sure that you grab one before they go away. What are we at, Kevin? Are we still at 2?
I think we're at 2.
Yeah, we sold 2 in about 5 minutes, and so or 10 minutes. And so, like I said, if you're interested, jump in. It's a fantastic box, and the value will be far greater than what you expect you are paying. And so, awesome, great.
That's
Kevin,
great.
Thank you so much for joining us. It has been, I will say, a pleasure working with you. It's not very often that you get the opportunity to collaborate with wonderful people. I mean, I've collaborated with lots of wonderful people. But you, let me say, and I'm going to blow a little Smurf shine your way, and that is... it's rare that you find a game designer that is as what's the word, humble as you are, open to learning, like all of that stuff. You have been a joy to work with, a gem to work with. The team loves you. And it has been fantastic to work with you up to this point. And we have lots more to go. We have just started designing the book.
I've got a lot to live up to with all those comments.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the game is great. You've been fantastic, like I said, to work with. The team has had a fantastic time collaborating on this with you, and we cannot wait. I can't wait to dig in to the actual production stuff, the design, and getting your design into my graphics and all of that fun stuff. I think
the stuff I've seen so far looks fantastic, and the design conversations we've had, man, there's some a really awesome product down the road for everyone who backed this. I mean, I I don't know how much I can say. I never know, Jason, how much I can actually say, but
Yeah,
as the
it's like
creator,
it's
but
like that big superhero brand
yeah,
that yeah, no, there are no Smurfs hiding under your desk to assault you, or Gargamel to pluck you out of your home if you say the
yeah,
wrong thing. But I think we could talk about it. I mean, the quick start guide is out there, and so we can definitely talk about stuff that's in there. Um, but I don't think there's a lot. You know, I mean, whatever. I think that we should just have fun talking about it and go from there.
yeah. Well, do you want? We could talk
Yeah,
about the three books.
sure.
Which folks, we're talking about three books. If you're getting the box set, it means there are three separate books that come in that. If you're getting the hardback, it's all combined. But each of the three books is stylistically different, right? The Brainy's Big Book of Rules. It's Brainy's Smurf, right? He's exacting about the rules. He's a know-it-all, and let me tell you that really comes through in what's in the book. Brainy's got little cutout quotes throughout where he's clarifying things for you, telling you what the law is, and just really fantastic. The layout for that is just amazing. And when we move on to Smurfette's journal of friends, foes, and faraway places, you know I'll tell you, you're in for a treat because not everyone gets to take a look inside a Smurfetch journal. And that's exactly what you're going to get when you take a look at the journal. And I know Jason and I have really been thinking about this and are so excited for you all to check that out. And, occasionally I will say, Brainy is a little bit nosy and he gets inside her journal and Smurfette's not too pleased about that, but you're going to see those shenanigans when the books get delivered to you. It wouldn't be Smurfs if there weren't some hijinks. And then finally we go to Papa Smurf's Guide to Magic and Adventure. And it's really cool because when you think about it, what is a potion? What is a potion? It's a recipe, right? So that might give you an idea for what this book is going to look like, that contains all the potions and magic items in the Smurfs and instructions on how to craft them yourselves. In addition to the end of that book, of course, has all the adventures that we've prepared to issue with this book. So not only will you get the guide to magic and magic items and potions, but you're going to get those adventures. And I think, what are we up to right now, Jason? Are we up to six for the
Yep,
for the main book when it
yep,
comes out?
yep, yep,
And depending on where we go with these stretch goals, there could be more,
yep.
right? So we'll see what happens. But I'm really excited about all of that. Can't wait for the final versions to be ready. And I know, again, the design conversations I've had with you, Jason, have been fantastic. So I really do appreciate the partnership because although I could write the stuff, folks, it would be stick figures if it was me. So luckily, I'm not the one doing graphic design.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited, and I mean, we have such a rich 66-year tradition. And oh, I forgot to say that tomorrow is actually Gargamel's birthday. And so we are celebrating Gargamel's birthday with Gargamel's mystery box. I forgot to say that off the top, which is kind of fun. We didn't know when we were going to launch it. It all just kind of lined up. So that's just the beauty of the way that these things go sometimes. I will say that obviously we have a rich history of 66 years with all the art. And so that is a wonderful palette from which we can pull as we paint this canvas of an RPG for everyone. And I will say also that, we're taking a very careful approach to the design of the books because we want to be able to take the characteristics and take the personality of the Smurfs into account when we're doing these things. And it was Kevin's idea to design each one of those paperback kind of sections separately that apply to that Smurf. So, like he said, Smurfette's journal will actually look like a journal or a diary inside with like little notes in the margins about the different Smurfs and so on. And so, that stuff. I love it. It makes me super excited. It's super immersive as well. And why wouldn't we do that? I mean, the Smurf characters are at the core of this book and this experience, and so of course we want to pay homage to that and capture their personality with it as well. Kevin, if you could give me like or give the folks at home, because I know,
Sure.
give the folks at home kind of your history with the Smurfs and where you kind of fell in love with them.
Sure. Folks, you can probably tell by the gray hair and stuff that I'm not a young man, but hey, I grew up watching the Smurfs in the 80s, and they were a lot of fun. I don't know if all of you remember a time when you could go into any Hallmark store in the United States and they had Smurfs, right? Do people remember this time? There was a Smurf for everything, right? And I still have somewhere hanging around here my hockey Smurf, my ice hockey Smurf, right? So it was definitely something for many of us embedded in our childhood, and it was as my kids, as I had my own kids, believe it or not, all of a sudden these Smurf movies started coming out, and kind of reignited I guess, the love for the Smurfs. And I think maybe a side effect of COVID is I got more involved in game design and started thinking about the kinds of adventures folks might want to run and start thinking about these little blue gnomes at some point. And then as I got my ideas more fully developed and had things written out, I reached out to my friends over in Belgium. They weren't my friends then, they're my friends now, and said, hey, you don't have a licensed game of the Smurfs out there for a role-playing game. What do you think? And they were immediately enthusiastic at Peo about the idea, about doing it. And then luckily, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got a great partner over at Maestro Media, so why don't you chat with them?" And we got together and we all agreed to work together, and it's been a lot of fun. So, what is it about the Smurfs that I think a lot of people like them for a certain reason. Listen, the Smurfs at times they're these wonderful little blue gnomes, 3 apples tall, and they do all sorts of fun stuff. They're helpers, they're solvers, but they're like the rest of us. They have their bad moments too, where they're maybe they can be deceitful. They can even be mean sometimes. You know how it is, but it's like all of us. But at the end of the day, they make up for it and they try to do the right thing. They're always trying to do the right thing. Sometimes they create their own problems, but then they solve them. And isn't that what we all do sometimes, right? We create our own problems. I think the Smurfs are incredibly relatable as characters, and you can even be the Smurf you want to be. So if you're a farmer Smurf, you can till with the soil and do all that great stuff. If you're more dramatic, you can be actor Smurf. I mean, there are just so many ways that you can be a Smurf and personify aspects of yourself in it, that I think it's kind of an everyman story, an every Smurf story. In addition to that, one thing that about a Smurf tale that's different than, say, any other kind of fantasy tale is that the Smurfs live out of time, right?
Mm.
They are in a Middle Ages kind of world, right? They're in the cursed land. And then of course there's the land beyond with the good king and all that stuff. But they have rocket packs. They
Yeah,
have robots. They meet aliens,
yeah.
right? Brit and gang. So there's all sorts of things like that go on. They've even come to Manhattan, right, everyone? So Smurf Tale can be anything you want it to be, and that's I guess the durability of Smurfs, that they
Hmm.
can go anywhere and be anything, and you can tell at your table the types of stories that you want to tell. So that's what I love about them, and that's what I think makes for a great adventure. The other thing I'll say about the Smurfs, listen, these are lovable little folks who like to help. They don't like to hurt. And so these are the types of tales you can tell where it revolves around making your way through the world and solving problems in a way, for the most part, has at the most some level of like slapstick violence, but probably not more than that, right? So they're figuring out riddles, they're figuring out the magical solution to a problem. They're making friends with the monster, whatever it happens to be. So it's a different way of storytelling. It's a different way of role playing. But of course, as we all know, you at your table can tell whatever story you want to tell. But I don't know. That's probably overlong, Jason. But
No, not
those
at
are my
all.
thoughts on
No,
it.
no, no. I could sit here forever. I'm actually just writing in the chat. If anybody has a question, for Kevin about game design or about the game in general, for us, please just write the word question before your question, and post it in the chat, and we will do our best to answer that as we go on, because I'm sure people have questions about the design, the style of the game, and all of those sorts of things. And if I see a question pop
Sure.
up, I will interject and jump that in. But we have lots to talk about on our own as well.
And there are only 7 of those 10 Gargamel packages left, Jason.
Oh, we've run 3 have gone already.
3 have gone.
Wow,
3 have gone.
amazing.
Yeah.
All right. My next question revolves around the content, and many RPGs are skewed older, and I'd love to kind of understand, and if you could share with the audience, the challenges and the considerations that you went through when designing a game that was family friendly, that is good for us who watched it during the 80s, and grew up with it, but also it's very relevant today. There's a movie coming out in February. There's
Right.
a series on Netflix right now that is a lot of fun, and so just to kind of understand your approach to that, and what maybe some of the challenges were and some of the considerations were.
And I think that movie might even be pushed back to the summer,
Has it
but I'd have to look. I think so.
officially? Okay.
But I'd have to
Okay.
look.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I think that the main idea behind the game was let's make a game that's fun to play, where people are part of the story. The player Smurfs are part of the story, where their decision making and the mechanics available for decision making have real impact in the game. So that's where you come up with the spending of effort or the Smurf power die that really allow people to make choices on how they're going to succeed or fail in the game. And I think that's key. The other thing we did with the game was to again focus on character creation to ensure that character creation is not a pain. It's quick. You can sit down at a table and in 5 minutes you can have your Smurf or less, right? You've got your custom Smurf. I'm not even talking about one of the Smurfs we include that are the famous Smurfs. You might have an idea for your own Smurf, and you can create it very quickly and be ready to play and ready to go. And I think that's important because, first of all, many of us my age, we want to sit down and have a good time with friends. And if we're playing the Smurfs, we want to get into the game real quickly. We're probably going to play a one shot. Maybe we're not going to play a campaign. And we want to get going and we want to get immersed right away in whatever the adventure is. So that's the other side of it. Not only quick character creation, but stories that throw you right into the action. One of our stories, one of our adventures that appears in the game, you start off in a cage in Gargamel's lab, right? That's the starting point.
Perfect.
Bad stuff has already happened. Now you got to get your way out of it. And that's a great way to throw people right into it. So that's another side. Not only the design of building characters, but the design of the adventures themselves. These adventures are not for people who don't want to move around and do action like
Yeah.
this. These are action-oriented adventures. So the other part was thinking about ages, right? Who would want to play this game? And we know that you've got folks my age, maybe from the 80s, they watched it and they're like, hey, yeah, I'll play this game. Or maybe it's younger folks who are new fans of the new cartoon or the movies who want to immerse themselves in the world of the Smurfs. And you can if you can teach this game as an adult to young players very quickly, and they get a hang of the mechanics super fast. So I would say we wanted it that way. We didn't want a system that was so crunchy that it would turn off, let's say, some of our younger players, but still have depth to it so that those of us who've been playing for a while look at this game and go, oh, great, I think I know how to strategize some of this and really work through this. So anyway, it had to be a lot of things, but I think we struck a nice balance. How's that sound, Jason? I know
Totally,
it's a
absolutely. No,
rambling talk,
I
but
love it. I love it. I love your passion, and I think one of the core things for me when I was running it at Gen Con,
yeah,
was the idea that the storyteller doesn't roll dice. that the storyteller, other than adventure creation and some,
Right.
things like that, random stuff, for the most part, they're just telling a story, and that's great for a group of kids who may want to run it and are a little, either math or is challenging or whatever the case may be. You can jump in and tell a story without having to worry too much about the specifics of all of that. So that I think
Yeah,
was
and
was
we're
was
certainly
good.
not the first game to do
Yeah,
player
sure.
facing
Yep,
player facing roles, but
yep,
I really think it's a great innovation in games and other games that have this too. Player facing roles, it puts all the action on the players,
yeah,
right? And going back and forth and telling the story. Many of you, if you're watching this stream and you play role playing games, how many times have you sat there as the person telling the story, relating the adventure, the judge, the DM, the GM is sitting there rolling dice, and there aren't players involved at all.
yep,
So
yep,
none of that happens in this
yep.
game, and everything is player facing roles. So, and I think that also speeds the game along.
Hmm.
The other thing we didn't want is for people to play this game and for to have slow moving action. This is a quick game. It really moves, and you can cover a lot of distance in it. So, folks, if you want to know what it's like, you mentioned the Gen Con game. Man, what a fun game that was to watch. The folks you had in that game, I would play in a game you ran anytime. You did a great job running it, and the players you had in there were so much fun. Christian Navarro, Clint McElroy, all those folks were fantastic to watch, and everyone seems like they had a great time playing the game, which is probably the most important thing. But if you haven't seen the Gen Con stream, folks, go check it out. I think it's on the Kickstarter page too, the Gen Con
Yeah, it is
stream.
Closer
Check
to
it
the
out.
end. Yeah, totally. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was a lot of fun live. And of course, our books will feature an adventure from Clint McElroy already. We're working on that right now. And Christian Navarro will be unlocked soon. I think it's at. Let me take a look. I forget what number it is at, but I am going to go to our trusty campaign
It's
page and
soon,
find
right?
out. Yeah, I think it's 200. Let me just take a look. Almost there. Stretch goals are at the bottom.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, 175 is Christian. So
Yeah, so
we
coming
just
up soon.
unlocked Rob Weiland, which is great. He does all the RPG stuff for Forbes magazine, and their online stuff. So he does it, and he has a ton of experience. So the Rob's adventure is going to be fantastic. Of course, Clint's we've already unlocked, and then Christian
Great.
Navarro is going to be doing a poet Smurf based adventure at 175, and so those will be included in all core books. And we talked about the 3 books; those are amalgamated in the core book. And so if you get the core rule book
That's
or the
right.
limited edition, it's just the 3 paperbacks smushed together in 3 different sections, and so you get all of this stuff together. And speaking of stretch goals, our next stretch goal is a
Yeah,
Smurf standee pack. Which will include many more Smurfs than are just in the starter box and the core kind of Smurf standee pack that you get in the starter set and some of those other sets. But this will be a wealth more of them, and so we'll be adding that at the 125,000 mark, which we're not far from now. Now that 3 of those Gargamel boxes have been purchased, and thank
well, I'll
you
tell you,
everyone for your support.
the stretch goal that I'm most excited about, let me see if I'm looking at it here. I think where is it? Oh, the Cursed Land Adventure Map at 150,
Yeah,
actually. That's the one I'm excited for.
yeah,
So I hope we hit that one
yeah,
because that is gonna be really cool. I'm not sure other than in the comics, and Paper Cuts makes some great volumes, anthologies of the Smurfs. So if you can get your hands on those, folks, those are really incredible.
yeah.
But the maps, there are various different maps in the movies, in the TV show. And I like to think that our RPG, if we hit that goal, will be able to deliver in everyone's box a definitive map of the cursed land. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, it'd be great. That'd be fantastic. And I mean, we I have a question here, which I'll get to, but we purposely made the standees and the map and the adventure maps, the battle maps, the same scale as the Schleich minis. And
Uh-huh.
so, I went as soon as I found out I was doing this and we were going to launch a Kickstarter. There they are, right there. I've been on eBay trying to get my hands on classic Smurfs because next time I run it live, I want a whole Smurf village to be able to do that. And again, the standees will do that. Our hidden there it is. Our hidden village pack does have it will have Smurf houses that you kind of put together, and so we wanted to make sure that we had those sorts of things for. There's your favorite jokey Smurf. The question I have is, if you were to create Sassy Smurf, Kevin, what attributes would you focus on in character creation?
Sassat?
Sassy Smurf.
Oh, Sassy Smurf.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Well, I think, Sassy, first of all, you really got to think about if you've got Sassy, what is the motivation of Sassy Smurf? So you really have to think about what makes Sassy Smurf the typical kind of smart aleck that you might if you were doing that. And I would say that for Sassy, I would probably, I've got to think about the motivation statement, right? The motivation statement behind someone like Sassy Smurf would be something like, I'm trying to think of a good one. Would
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I'm not going to let anyone one up me,
Yeah.
type of thing,
Yep.
right?
Totally.
And then once you have that, you're going to have to think about, okay, so Sassy Smurf, what makes Sassy different than other Smurfs, and what's a piece of equipment that we can give to Sassy Smurf to make Sassy unique? And I'd have to think about it a little bit because each of them takes some time to do. Whoever wrote that question, what would you give Sassy
Yeah,
Smurf
that's
as
a
a piece
great
of
question.
equipment?
I
That's
imagine
what
like a
I
big
want to
foam
know.
hand, like a talk to the hand, would be a good, like just
Oh
to
man.
yeah, something like that. I mean, just to give that extra little sass. That's funny. That's great. Yeah, back talk. That's not an item, but that's definitely a skill for sure. That's funny. Thank you, Dyad in the rough. That was
I
the
like that
question.
talk to the hand though. That's
Yeah,
a
that's
that's a
it's
good
good.
one.
But yeah, Diet, if you could think of what maybe Sassy Smurf item would be, or anybody in the chat, if you have any ideas on Sassy Smurf's item, that's awesome. Another question: how many pre-generated characters are described in the core rulebook? Great question. So first off, in our social goals, make sure that you're in there and that you're doing as much as you can to get those forward because we are unlocking a number of extra Smurfs for playable characters in that social list. But we have 37 plus currently.
Yeah, it's
I think it's like 37. It's close to 40. I think it's 40 plus with the social goals for sure. And then we're still going through and maybe potentially adding more. And so Kevin and I have to do our full cast our Smurf net and really make sure that we're hitting everyone in there. And so those are all the playables. But there's a ton of playable Smurfs.
Yeah, and there are two different things. There are, yeah, as Jason was saying, there are 40 plus playable Smurfs, fully statted out, many of your favorites. And then in addition to that, there are random generation tables. So that if you're looking to build a classic like Smurf and you don't want to come up with your own descriptor, you can roll on the table, you'll get a descriptor, and it will help you through. Even the motivation statement will be there for them, along with everything else. So these are not Smurfs from canon, but these are Smurfs that you can randomly generate to use. And we have different tables. We know we have classicists, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
who who like the classic 80s and 70s Smurfs, and we have a table that you can roll on there. But then we also have a table that takes into consideration the folks from Smurfy Grove as well. So whatever era of Smurfs you're a fan of, this book will cater to you. So those are some different ways you can do it: the random gen tables, or again the 40 plus Smurfs that we are statted out, and more to come apparently, Jason.
Yeah, more to come. We're very excited. I mean, we want to include as many as we can, and just to make sure. And again, anything that isn't included, so any Smurf out of 40 plus Smurfs, anything that's not included there, you can create yourself. And we have all the tools.
Right.
And Kevin has devised a method to easily create Smurfs that you want of your own creation, or potentially ones that you were fans of growing up. Man of Action says Sassy Smurf gets a dirty sock launcher and quick wits. That's great. That's really great. Brent Gibson says, are the playable Smurfs all from the original cartoon and comics, or do they include new ones from the movies? That's a good question. Kevin?
Yeah, most of them are from the comics, and a lot of the new ones from the movies appeared in the later comics by paper cuts. So a lot of the what we took from were from the comics by Peyo, and the ones that appeared by paper cuts. So that's the majority of them. You may find some that were in the movies that aren't reflected in the book, and if there are ones that are purely unique to some of the movies, let us know, throw it in there, and we'll take a look to see if we can add them. But mostly it's the comics and the newer comics too. So we have a pretty full load of folks going through the entire Smurfs comics. It includes some of the Smurflings and others, as well as the folks from Smurfy Grove. So they all appeared in the comics, so we've got all of them in there.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. If you're interested, if you have an idea for a Smurf that maybe is obscure that you would love to see in there, joining the private design group on Facebook is a great way to have your voice heard, and we monitor
Right.
that very closely. Cody is fantastic at doing that, and he monitors and makes sure that we hear all of the comments and the suggestions that people have. And if you have a Smurf that you really want in there, let us know. You can join the Facebook group by following the link in the Kickstarter page up near the top of the story page. I just got a question because they came in a little late regarding the Gargamel tier and what is in the Gargamel tier. That's from DeClick Brick. And the answer is it's a mystery. Even we don't know what Gargamel is up to and his shenanigans or Smurfnanigans. But we will say that it includes products from the Smurfs, Microids, Plastoy, Paper Cuts, Realm Smith, and more. And so there's lots of things that are in there that are going to be well worth the value of the price tag. A lot of it, perceived value is super high because they're not even available in retail. And so you'll be getting stuff that is internal stuff that is super cool, as well as things that are limited edition that you can't get anymore. And so and a lot of unique things that are just for this campaign. And so, we didn't put that price tag on this tier lightly. We thought it through. We did a ton of work, and Lucy and Javon and myself and Eric and all the team, and Cody and Will and everybody made very, 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 very. We took great care when it came to adding a price tag to that to make sure that you got the value over and above what you're paying for that tier. And mystery tiers are always a lot of fun. Another question from Dyad. We're running late, not a little late, but that's fine. Dyad says, can you elaborate more on the check system with how players need to roll lower than the difficulty level? Thank you for all the responses.
Yeah, sure. The dice mechanic in this is difficulty is determined by the number of dice you hold in your hand, right? So something standard would be 2d6, right? And you're rolling 2d6, and you have four stats that you're rolling against. And those stats have a combined total of points of 24 points to start, distributed between them, right? With the lowest stat of a 4, and you're not going to really go much higher than an 8 to start. I guess you could put a higher number in there. You could end up putting a 12 in one of those. But anyhow, you're going to roll that 2d6 and something, not too hard to do, and roll under a stat in quick. Your boy, I'll tell you, heart, your all the attributes within there, and you've got your quick, brawn, mind, and heart for the Smurfs. And so let's say I have a quick of 8 and I'm trying to jump. We'd pick the quick stack because that governs everything that's got every kind of movement aspect. So I have a quick of 8. The storyteller says, hey, that's a that's pretty far. That's your three apples high, and that's like, I don't know, that's like 10 feet. Can you do that? It's not going to be a normal 2d6 roll. It's going to be a little bit harder. We're going to make it a 3d6 roll. So now you're rolling 3d6 and you have to roll under an 8. So it's not bad odds wise, but you might decide, you know what? 3d6 rolling under an 8, I'm not comfortable with that, and I really want to make this roll. So I am going to spend a point of effort from quick. And you have effort points that are equal to the stat value. So if you have an eight quick, then you have 8 effort points, and you can spend those down till you hit 0. Okay. Now, meanwhile, when you spend an effort point, it does not reduce the stat. So those are just free points that you have in a pool, and that's why we have those little effort markers that you can use. Your stat doesn't change, but you have a pool of effort. You spend it. Once you spend 1 point of effort, you remove 1 die. So instead of rolling 3d6, now you're rolling 2d6. You roll your 2d6, and the odds are pretty good that you're going to roll under an 8. Now, if you're rolling and then you tie the 8, it becomes a partial success. So then your storyteller is going to describe something else. So you made the jump, but I don't know, you lost your Smurf hat. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's
You
great.
know. So whatever it is. So hopefully my rambling answer, did that,
Yeah.
answered that.
No,
But
totally.
yeah. So that's really what you want to do. And so you could get as high as a 66 roll, and you're trying to roll under a certain number of your stat. And let's say again, you might even have a lower number, like a 4. You're going to have to spend a lot of effort, right? Or you're going to have to use your Smurf power that does a couple of things. You use your Smurf power. Not only do you get to replace one of the d6s with your Smurf power die, but your Smurf power die doesn't add anything to the roll. The
Right.
only thing it does, it allows you to roll a critical success, right? So there are plenty of options you have, and some of these resources are renewable and some aren't, but that's how you manage the game and manage the difficulty of things you're going to do.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyhow,
Awesome. That's awesome.
Jason, did I make a mash of
No,
that,
it
or do you
was
have any
great. No, it was
enhancements
great.
to
It was
that?
great. And for further information, if you haven't downloaded the Quick Start Guide, all of this is in there and very carefully and awesomely designed by Kevin. We have 2 more questions here. We'll take real quick, and then I have one last question for you, Kevin.
Sure.
The first question is from Dory Fu, who says, "Will we know the content of the Gargamel box before the end of the Kickstarter?" No, you will not know the exact context. That makes it a mystery box, and that is the intent. A lot of Kickstarters kind of do this. We did this with our Binding of Isaac box previously, and lots of fun stuff, and nobody was upset about what they got. But you will get more kind of clarity on some of the partners that we have, some of the types of contributors that will be giving stuff, and it'll give you a bit of an idea of what might be in there. We may also give some tidbits on our private design group about what might be in that box as well, as things are little, secret tidbits of mystery funness as Gargamel kind of slips and lets us know a couple things. But anyways, jump in that private design group. But no, we will not be revealing everything that's in that box before the end. And you may not want to wait that long because they're going pretty fast, as we can see already that we've. I think we're at 3, right? Still 3, or have we sold a 4th?
Let's see. 6 of 10 left.
Okay, so 4.
Yeah.
So wow, right on, awesome. Okay,
Yep.
rules question: do you have to spend points before you roll dice, or can you decide after you have failed? Ha ha ha. That is from Declick Brick.
Yeah, unfortunately, to click brick, you're gonna have to ahead of time make those decisions. That's the thing. Before you roll, you make all these decisions, and then we see what happens.
Awesome. All right. Just before we wrap up here, Kevin, if there's one thing, if there's somebody who's kind of on the fence about the Smurfs role playing game, they love the Smurfs with all they have,
Mhm.
and they're afraid that we haven't done it justice. What would you say to that person? What would you say to that one person who really wants to back and is looking forward to this to kind of cause excitement for this game?
Oh boy, I would say, if you're on the fence, there are a couple things you can do. One, that quick start guide is there, so you can download the quick start and take a look through and say, "Hey, is this a game I'd like to play?" You can watch the video from Gen Con to see it in action and see how much fun everyone was having. And then, I wish you could see into, our minds and what we're planning for the books, right? I think that if you're a fan of the Smurfs, you are not going to want to miss these three books that come together to form the total core rule book because of the way they're being designed to really bring the Smurfs to life in a way they haven't before, right? With a role playing game, it's different than a tabletop board game. It's different than watching a TV show. If you love the Smurfs, this is your opportunity to step into the role of a Smurf and to actually get to play out some of their fun adventures. So if you played role playing games before, then you know what that is. If you haven't, this is a good way to get involved in it. There's a really low bar here to get involved in a Smurfs game and to have a great time. So I don't know if you're on the fence, check those things out, and I would say don't miss out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have such great things planned for
So
this.
excited. So excited. Thank you so much, Kevin, for your time. I really appreciate it. For those of you out there, we will be doing this fairly regularly, at least once a week, leading up to the end of the campaign. And so stay tuned. We will have Cody on as well, our community manager, to answer some questions and some more reveals as we move through this campaign. Thanks for everyone who has supported us so far. If you want that Gargamel tier, there is only 6 of 10 left. They are going fairly quickly, so make sure you jump in on that. Don't miss that opportunity. Thanks, Kevin. We will see lots of you moving forward. We are very excited to have you as part of the team, and thank you so much for designing such an incredible game for us and making the Smurfs happy.
Well, thanks, Jason, and
Thank you.
thanks for the partnership on this. It's been
Awesome.
great.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Until next time, we'll see you soon.